It's over, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings, a live fire fun and frivolity show. And yes, folks, we are back better than ever after a week off. How do you get in contact with the show if the show is not airing live or you want to follow the show during off-show hours? I have all that info here.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, he is a quarterly second Tuesday of the month guest in 2025, the creator of the most heavily trafficked barbecue grilling website on the face of the earth. Meathead! We have a lot of topics to talk about with Meathead, not the least of which, what are you going to do with all that leftover corned beef and or pastrami or just pastrami? And if you have pastrami and you have some left over, you didn't do yesterday that well, but there might be some recipes in the offing here in just a few short moments, amongst other topics. And then we will move 35 past the first hour. We will find third Tuesday of the month regular guest, creator of CookoutNews.com, Wes Wright. Lots of business to talk about with Wes. We have some Traeger updates. We are looking for Weber Blackstone updates. There are some new barbecue pits and or cookers that have been released by said Blackstone, also said Rectech. So lots to talk about with Wes. That'll bring a close to the first hour. We'll move to the second hour, where we will find a visit from longtime guests, I think since all the way back in 2010, when she was a pitmaster of a then Yazoo's Delta Q, winning Memphis Barbecue Network Team of the Year, winning Memphis in May competitions. Melissa Cookston, Barbecue Hall of Famer if you need her. Play a little catch-up with Melissa, and then we'll close the show with the first quarterly visit of the first ever full-time barbecue editor at Texas Monthly Magazine. And before he was any of that, originally a Buckeye, Daniel Vaughn, Texas Monthly, TMBBQ.com, his website. So that's how the show's laying out for you. Don't forget, you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and LinkedIn, all with the handle at BBQ Central Show. And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platform partners, Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show or Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch the show on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. And I'm asking you tonight, is Magic Kingdom the worst Disney park to go to when you are an adult? And 75% of you are currently saying, yes, it is the worst park to go to when you are an adult. By the way, after having been there as early as as recently as last Wednesday, I can tell you the yeses are 100% right. The worst park to go to out of all the Disney parks or associated parks if you're in that area, when you have all things considered, and you are an adult with adult children doing that kind of a trip. Results from the poll 2 weeks ago, I asked everybody if washing any kind of meat is a learned behavior, and 92% of you said yes, that is a learned behavior. In keeping with some of the catch-up from last week's trip, spent a week in the Orlando area, moments away from many of the Disney-themed parks. Also, only 15 minutes away from Universal Studio, which I had never been to in my life. That was a treat, perhaps even a treasure. But I have some valuable information in regards to taking a vacation as an adult with your adult kids when it comes to finding a place to stay. Certainly staying off the Disney property, way less expensive. Highly recommended. The cost between 2 nights on property and a week in what was really an apartment that slept 8 full-sized adults. Kitchenette, laundry, all in the apartment. 9 times less, 10 times less than it was for just 2 nights in a theme park hotel. So stay off campus to save some money. But also, if it's a adult trip, really make sure that you're not doing yourself a disservice by not searching out kid-free properties. Because we did not have a kid-free property, so when you're spending time not going to a park one day, lounging about the general area, a lot of little kids racing around. Look, I was there. I lived that life. I have little kids. You know what? I don't want to do that now. I want to hear your little pissant kids running around the pool, potentially falling down and busting their heads open. I mean, we all get a great laugh out of it, but, I'd rather not see it. And then to see the lack of general parenting from when I was a parent, from when my parents were parents. The younger the kids get, the worse the parenting has gotten. I don't even know if they know how to parent. Nobody yelling at anybody, nobody taking public beatings. Those were the days where you could just give a look or do one of these. The kid would shudder in fear. So, hey, if you don't want that part of it, make sure that you are searching specifically or asking specifically for having somebody plan the trip for you, that you're trying to deal with as few kids as possible. It might add a little value or some additional enjoyment. Otherwise, great week, no issues, didn't have to kill any boyfriends. No boyfriends tried to kill other boyfriends. Everybody got along great. Weather was really good. So happy about that. I have some more info in the second hour that I want to share with you as well. But we do have some feedback from Ben at Cracks Country Cooking. Good evening, Greg. I hope you're doing well. Could you please coordinate with Malcolm Reed to schedule episodes when there won't be a show? We can't have both of you off in the same week. Last week, I missed both the Barbecue Central show and the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I had a lonely and quiet drive to work all week. Also, what McAuliffe cigar would you recommend for a beginner? When I last visited my grandfather, he offered me one, and I declined. He just shook his head and said he knew they stopped making Real Men in 1939. That was the year he was born. Jokes aside, love the show. Truly appreciate what you do. Ben from Cracks Country Cooking. And Ben, I would love to take a stab at that last name, but there's just no way I'm going to do that. I'm not going to say it right, and I'm not going to do you the injustice of butchering your last name. There are a lot of consonants. I can tell you that. Very few vowels, but a lot of consonants. So I'm not going to even risk it. But Ben, thank you for listening. And I apologize. I had no idea that Malcolm was also taking off last week. I did give you advanced warning I was going to be off last week with no new to you content. I just took it off. But we are back and better than ever. You have 2 shows ready to go in podcast fashion. Wednesday, Thursday, and then there is a new best of also that's coming on Friday. There was a best of that was released yesterday that I'll also talk about as well. So that about sums it up as far as the open. Oh, I didn't answer your question. What McAuliffe cigar would I recommend for a beginner? Everybody's palate is different, Ben. So if you are somebody that enjoys a little bit more spice, a little bit more full flavor, I would recommend the McAuliffe Black. If you want to roll it back just a tad, I'm saying McAuliffe Red. If you want to dial it what I would call all the way back, McAuliffe Blue. If you want something completely different, but in a similar flavor profile as the black, I would say the McAuliffe Leanda, delicious. But the McAuliffe A is great. The McAuliffe Little A is great. The Migdalia is great. I mean, you can't go wrong with whatever they have in their portfolio. They're just substantially great. A lot of greats being tossed around. Speaking of great, Meathead is in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. You know what else is great? Pits and Spits. We kick things off tonight talking about their Pits and Spits griddle. The gas griddle combining the power of a traditional grill with the versatility of a flat-top griddle. Engineered with precision, crafted from top quality materials, this versatile griddle set to revolutionize your outdoor cooking experience. Constructed of 304 marine-grade stainless steel, fully welded design, the griddle comes with 4 burners to accurately manage your heat zones and get blistering hot with 80,000 BTUs. They are making a 3-burner model as well that I might get my hands on. Made with the Pits and Spits signature quality, the griddle designed to last for a lifetime, perhaps even more lifetimes. Now, for those of you building your ultimate outdoor kitchen, you have to check out the built-in pellet grill. Designed for discerning grill masters who demand top-tier performance, this grill, the centerpiece for any serious outdoor kitchen. From low and slow smoking to high-heat searing, this grill can handle it all. Briskets and ribs and pizzas and veggies, you name it. This grill can cook it, and with the Pits and Spits legendary craftsmanship, you can be confident it's built to last with stainless steel construction and a design that's as reliable as it is versatile. So, are you ready to take your cooking to the next level? Head on over to pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com, all spelled out with the double T on the pits and the spits.com/BBQ Central. Use promo code BBQ Central for a free spice pack with orders over $500 or more. I can tell you this. If you buy that griddle or you buy that pellet grill, you're going to be well over $500. So the spice pack is a lock. pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. And we're back with Meathead right after this.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and of course the wireless Fireboard Pulse. When you have the Fireboard app, you also have total access to all devices anywhere in the world that attach to that ecosystem. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call with questions 816-945-2232. And my first guest tonight, as I had mentioned in the open, creator of the most heavily trafficked barbecue and grilling website, best-selling author, Barbecue Hall of Famer, most importantly, of course, Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. We welcome back our pal Meathead. All right, Meathead, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, and it goes a little something like this. Magic Kingdom is the worst Disney park to go to when you're an adult, yes or no?
I have been to Disney World. Is that what it is? The one that's in Orlando? Disney
Yes.
World?
Yes.
One. I've been there once.
Oh.
And I was there with my wife.
All
And
right.
I have no recollection of which exhibits or rides or things I did, but I did get their smoked turkey leg, the drumstick.
Yes.
They sell a turkey drumstick. And in fact, that's the main reason I consented to go, because people keep asking, how do you make it? And it's cured.
Wait.
It's cured first,
Wait.
then
And-
smoked.
So is it a yes or a no on the question?
I have no idea.
All right. It's a no for you. 21% agree with you. Now, it's funny you mentioned this turkey leg because Maddie's boyfriend, Steve, Army Steve, as we call him, Soldier of the Year 2024, that was his big thing. We got to get to Magic Kingdom. I got to have a turkey leg. He was very insistent. Right before we made the trip, I saw something on social media, because the phone's always listening, that said, you think you're eating a turkey leg, but you're being jobbed. It's actually ham. And now you're talking about what I think you're talking about. And it was in my head. As soon as he got that turkey leg, I watched him bite through the skin, and I'm like, holy shit, that is ham. And it smelled like ham, and it tasted like ham. And I said, everybody, we've been fooled. I screamed from the top of Mickey's ears, you are fools. You are being scammed. This is ham on a bone. What is it, Meathead?
No, it is a cured, it's a big tom turkey, and it is cured with sodium nitrite. And that's the same stuff they make ham and pastrami and corned beef and bacon, and it turns the meat pink and gives it a ham-like flavor.
Yeah.
And in fact, anybody who's cooked ribs a bunch of times knows every now and then, if you get a little heavy-handed on the wood, even ribs can start to taste hammy. So it's not ham, but it's processed a lot like ham. And because turkey meat is a kind of neutral tasting meat, it comes out tasting like turkey ham.
So it's not done for any kind of safety reason. It's done to generate more flavor to the palate.
Yeah, it's smoked, and curing meat and then smoking it that's a great combo. And that's why smoked ham and bacon is pastrami or corned beef. That's all wonderful, and it's because you combine the curing process and the salt. There's a lot of salt involved, and you get a really nice taste. So that's why they do it. And I have reverse engineered it. And if you love that stuff, and the next time Soldier of the Year comes by, it's not hard to do. And the recipe's on AmazingRibs.com, as you might guess.
Of course.
And you can make up a batch for him, and he will admire you.
Even more than he already does. I find that hard to believe, but I will put it to the test to see if I can gain even more adulation from Steve.
He's sucking up to you because he loves your daughter.
Yes, and he could really kick the shit out of me. He's very muscular. So I always watch my P's and Q's around him. Actually, around all the boyfriends.
I could probably kick the shit out of you.
I mean, you're not lying, Meathead. Let's be honest. I'm not very imposing. So, but he's very respectful, which I certainly appreciate. All right, before we get going on some other topics that would involve cooking, leftover recipes from yesterday's festivities, that being St. Patrick's Day, any book update as we're drawing closer?
Well, I got two updates just before I get to the book.
Oh, great.
We are discontinuing our rubs and sauce.
Right.
I know that we spent a little time here. I'm really proud of the products we put out there. But I have learned what Malcolm and the other guys have all learned. You really have to work hard to get placement in grocery stores and Sam's Club. And you got to go in there and you got to call on them. You got to give them discounts, and you got to pay, cross their palm with silver to get display space. And I just don't, I run a website, and we decided we're outside of our realm of skills. We're going to continue building great web content and our Pitmaster Club, which is fantastic. And we're shutting down the rubs and sauces. We've sold them at a discount in bulk to the slow and sear people, and they're selling them on Amazon. And when they're gone, they're gone. In fact, the poultry rub's already sold out and the sauce is sold out, but we have left the pork rub and the red meat rub. The pork rub is pretty standard pork rub. I think it's a little better than most. You might disagree, but the red meat rub is outstanding. It's brilliant. I used to say anybody who puts anything more than salt and pepper on a steak is an idiot. I can't cook a steak now without it.
Oh.
I think it's still on Amazon. Meathead's red meat rub. Grab some of that before it sells out.
Did you ever think about hiring one of those brokers? I think that's what Malcolm actually ended up doing. He's not super keen on a lot of the business stuff, but he does know when he's out of his depths to bring in experts to help him move the product. Was that a concept or a thought?
We thought about it, and we just looked around and said, stick to what you do best. It wasn't a revenue. It was our least revenue stream.
Yeah.
Even if it's expensive. First of all, the sauce. Anybody out there who's thinking about bringing a sauce to market, forget it. I don't care how good it is. You can't compete with Sweet Baby Ray, which goes on sale at $2.99. I've seen it at $1.99.
I've seen it at 99 cents. I've seen it at 99 cents.
You've seen it at 99 cents.
Yes.
Okay. And a high quality sauce made properly is going to be at least $12.99, maybe $14.99.
Yeah.
You just can't compete with that, so don't even try. Rubs is a different story, but there's not much of a markup in this stuff. I mean, I admire the hell out of Malcolm and these other guys selling rubs and sauces, but you're selling a $14.99 product, a $12.99 product. You're making a couple of bucks a bottle. You got to sell a hell of a lot of bottles to pay the mortgage.
Yeah. There's a lot of
we're out
rubs.
of the game.
I don't know. I think there's so many great ones out there now. If people are asking me, what do I need to do to get in the rub business? I say, are you looking to make money? And if you reply back with a yes, then I'd say, why bother? I mean, there's so many great rubs, so many tried and true rubs at this point. People have already aligned with what they like. And if you're not separating yourself by light years, you're just a little louder of contributing to the noise.
You can make your own. There's recipes out there.
Yes, of course.
I have some very good recipes on AmazingRibs.com. And the outstanding factor of ours is they don't contain salt. When you buy a rub in the store, it can be as much as 50% salt. You're paying a lot of money for salt. And you shouldn't put salt on the rubs. And that's a topic that we could spend the rest of the show talking about, why salt should not be in rubs. You got to use salt, but you apply it separately from the spices and herbs. And that the short version is the salt will penetrate deep, but everything else sits on the surface.
Yeah.
So you apply the spices and herbs based on how much surface area you have, and then you apply the salt based on the weight or the total volume because it penetrates. And so rubs should not contain salt. They apply separately.
Was there a second update?
Oh, well, you wanted the news on the book.
Oh, the book, yeah.
Yeah, there's just not a heck of a lot to report. It's at the printer. It comes out May 13. I got my first copy a few weeks ago. It was air expressed from wherever they're printing it. It's 430 some pages. It sells for $40. The last book was 35, but that was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
It's designed. It looks a lot like the last book. It's got some great content in there. Very little overlap. There's some basic stuff like how to do 2-zone cooking that I had to cover again, because if somebody buys this book and hasn't read the last book, they won't know what I'm talking about when I give a recipe for 2-zone cooking and stuff. So there's very little overlap, though. And it's called the Meathead Method, and it's focused on methods and techniques and doing stuff, some creative stuff. We've talked about frying on the grill. We've talked about wok cooking on a charcoal chimney.
Yep.
We've talked about, hey, if people listen to this show all the time, they don't need the book because we've covered most of it on this show. Koji is another one that's in there. So there's a lot of cool new techniques that you just can't find in any other barbecue book. And if you're halfway experienced at barbecue, this is the next step. This is where barbecue goes next, too. There's a lot of ethnic ingredients in here. There's a lot of gochujang and stuff like that. And, you know, Greg, you hit barbecue joints around the country, and I suspect a number of your listeners do too. Look what's going on out there. People are putting a lot of Spanish and Mexican and Asian flavors into barbecue. There's a number of barbecue restaurants that have a strong Asian flavor, and they're creating really great tasting barbecue with these Asian flavors. And that's where barbecue is going next. And I've tried to get that in the book.
A couple months ago, we asked this question in the embedded correspondence, so we better ask it to you since you were part of the question. Between the two, Meathead's second book or Jess Pryle's second book, who is going to have the better selling book? I'll tell you how everything's split out. Who do you think is going to have the better selling book, Meathead?
Well, this doesn't include content because I'm going to buy her book because she's very good and I respect her immensely. But I'm with HarperCollins, which is one of the biggest publishers in the world. They're buying ads on Amazon. They're buying ads on Reddit. They're promoting it. We hired Carrie Bachman, who's the top PR agent behind Amazing Ribs, is putting money into marketing and promotion. My calendar is pretty full now with radio and television and public appearances. So we're probably going to be doing more marketing than she, and therefore we'll probably outsell her.
I said, without batting an eyelash, for as much as I'm a fan of Jess, and I know she's been on TV now going on 2 seasons for the Hardcore Carnivore show out there on Outdoor Channel, said Meathead's first book sold like no other book has sold before, over 250,000 copies. I've talked to top men and women in the industry. They could only dream of selling 250,000 copies. And if you did somewhere even near to that, you're probably going to blow everybody else out of the water. And at least 2 of the 4 also agreed with me. And then there were 2 dissenters. We'll leave them unnamed at this moment, because how dare they go against me? But they're allowed to have their own opinions, whether they're wrong or
Doug
not.
Scheiding better not be one of them.
No, Doug believed in you for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, look at Jess has got a lot going for her. She's got a great personality. She's a decent writer. She's creative. She's far better looking than me.
So am I.
And I'm sure she'll do well with it. But right now, it comes down to muscle, and we've got a little more muscle than she does right now.
Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. If you didn't do your best eating, whether it be corned beef, pastrami, a combination of both, whatever, what do you do with the leftovers? And can you break it down between leftover pastrami or leftover corned beef, or whatever recipe you're about to divulge is good for either?
Yeah, I've got 3 or 4 ideas that are pretty straightforward and simple, and they're all available on AmazingRibs.com. But first of all, most folks cook corned beef. And by the way, next time you do your corned beef, don't boil it. Keep it low, simmer it. When you apply heat to meat, you contract the muscle fibers and squeeze out juices. And believe it or not, you can make meat dry by boiling it, because you squeeze out the juices.
Oh, yes.
So keep the temperature low. Keep it down around 190, small bubbles. Let it go for a long time so it pulls a lot of the excess salt out of there. In fact, I often put it in cold water in the fridge overnight just to desalinate it a bit. And the other big trick to corned beef is don't put the cabbage in until about 15, 20 minutes before you're ready to serve.
Right.
Otherwise, it just disintegrates and gets mushy. So you got corned beef. Corned beef is the basic ingredient for pastrami. Now, everybody in Texas, turn off the sound because you're not going to like what I'm about to say. But to me, the ultimate expression of beef briskets is pastrami.
Yeah.
I just absolutely love pastrami. It is, most corned beef is made from brisket. Now, you can get some corned beef made from the leaner cuts, but you want brisket. And if you get a choice, if they got chunks in the store, they're usually about 3 pounds. And if you can choose the, usually you got the flat and the point, get point.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's called decal. But pastrami is simply, you take your corned beef and you put a special pastrami rub on it. And I've got the recipe. people say using my recipe for the rub, you come out with a dead ringer for Katz's, which is the great Manhattan deli. And I know you went there recently.
Oh, loved it.
What a trip, huh? Isn't that a trip? Great food and what a scene, you know?
Oh, it's a process.
Oh, yeah. And my rub on corned beef, you smoke it, bring it up to 155 or so. It's already cured and cooked, so you don't have to take it to 203 or anything like that. You can if you want, and that'll tenderize it a bit. What they do at Katz's is they actually steam it. But I got the whole process. You can turn leftover corned beef into killer pastrami with the right rub, not a problem, and a smoking setup. So that would be my first choice. My second choice is Reuben sandwiches. I mean, name a sandwich that's better than Reuben. I mean, I love my peanut butter and jelly, and there's all kinds of great sandwiches. But I think Reuben is like a great sandwich. And you can make it with corned beef, which is the traditional, or with pastrami. And you just mix up a Thousand Island type dressing, ketchup, mayonnaise, some chopped sweet pickles or pickle lily or pickle relish. I throw a splash of hot sauce in there.
Oh, yes.
And spread it on both sides of the bread. Throw it on a panini press or in a flat pan and toast the outside. I don't toast both sides, just one side. Sauerkraut.
Oh, yeah.
Sauerkraut in a can is inferior to sauerkraut in the plastic bag in the refrigerator section. Canned sauerkraut is soft and mushy. Get the refrigerated fresh sauerkraut that's in a bag in the refrigerator sections and take it out and squeeze it in your hand. Get rid of all the juice. Get it, dry it out a bit so it's not dripping all over the place. Or use a potato.
Ricer?
It looks like a big, pardon?
Potato ricer?
Ricer.
Yeah.
Yep. It looks like a big garlic press.
Yep.
You put in a potato ricer and squeeze it, and that squeezes out all the juice. It's great. And then a slice of Swiss cheese. We didn't have Swiss cheese last night, and I used a different cheese, and it turned out fine.
Oh.
So that's your basic Reuben. Delightful, great sandwich. I like to put it in the panini press and get it crusty on the outside, and some of the cheese melts out and sticks to the platen, and that's like a little frico. It's fantastic. Clint Cantwell, who is the president of our company and the GM, runs the website, has a fun recipe for grinding corned beef and making a burger out of it. And he does a patty melt type burger on a sandwich, and he uses rye bread, which is the traditional Reuben bread. And he basically makes a Reuben burger, which has got all the same ingredients as the Reuben does, only it's a burger. Great idea. Do 4 to 6 ounces is the right quantity. And that's a lot of fun. And then finally, corned beef hash. And corned beef hash is easy to do. You can do it cast iron pan in your grill. You just shred it, put some oil, bacon fat maybe in the pan, and maybe chop up some potato and mix it in there with it. And then you crack an egg at the end. And it's fantastic. So a lot of good stuff you can do with your leftover corned beef.
Recipes, of course, over at AmazingRibs.com. We're talking with our pal Meathead. Meathead, our time is up, if you can believe it. We've raced right through the segment, and we have plenty to get to next time around. But until then, if you want to catch up with Meathead, AmazingRibs.com, or don't be a fool, follow this guy on the Tweeter. He is very active, always posting some really controversial stuff. People love taking shots at Meathead whenever. He's a glutton for punishment, that guy, but he's willing to put out the content and willing to take it on the chin. And one of the great follows if you're not doing it. So, Meathead, always appreciate the time.
Think so.
Always. And we'll see you again in 3 months.
See you guys.
All right.
All Case Centralites. Greg.
There he is. Meathead right there. By the way, that's not like a backhanded compliment or a shot at Meathead. Follow him on Twitter if you're not. Well worth it. A lot of great posts. And then it's always a race to the comments to see what expert is going to take Meathead to task. By the way, Meathead will get hooked and will go after you as well if you're going after him, which I love. All right, Wes Wright from cookoutnews.com is ready to go. Before we get to him, Primo Grills. How about that? What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that you can get low and slow temperatures. We love that they can get rip-roaring hot for the high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The ability to do true two-zone cooking, like Meathead had just mentioned. Two-zone cooking, very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. The best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grill, the game-changing oval design. Shape gives you the ability to execute that two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. And there's more than 60 different ways to cook on it. If you love accessories, they got them. Here's the one thing that differentiates Primo from a lot of these other grills. Only sold through dealers. No online nonsense, nothing like that. Certainly you can go online and see all the products, the specs, all that stuff. But you're ready to buy, dealers only. Find one at primogrill.com, visit it in person, and then pick which oval you like best. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz, yes. Patented technology, yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities, multiple sizes of ovals, yes. Primogrill.com is the place to go. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram and all the other social medias as well. Why don't you? We're back with Wes Wright, cookoutnews.com. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Meathead for joining us last segment. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker. Most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or a professional, it's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal, and that's the bottom line. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. My next guest tonight runs cookoutnews.com. Here for his first visit of 2025 as we talk about the first visit. What are you talking about? He's a monthly guest. Third visit. I'm stuck on quarterly after Meathead, which has changed also for 2025. Oh, right. Wes Wright, for crying out loud. Sorry, Wes. YouTube poll question of the week. Magic Kingdom is the worst Disney park to go to when you're an adult. Yes or no?
I'd say yes.
Yes. 67% of the YouTube voting public also agreeing with you and agreeing with me, as I was just there last week and can confirm undeniably that between Epcot and Universal Studio, Magic Kingdom is kind of a tragedy all rolled into one when you're an adult with your adult kids. Remembering how magical it was 25 years ago, a little less magical 25 years after the fact. We have a lot of business to talk about here tonight, Wes, so let's get right to it. If I might remind folks, last month as we were closing out, we talked a little bit about RecTech, and you said, is there a possibility that they're still selling that Smokestone or whatever the hell their griddle is called, a wood-fired pellet griddle? I think it's called the Smokestone. And 100% yes, they are still selling it in 2 different versions, one more expensive than the next, if you can believe it. Are you surprised that this is still a thing?
Yeah, I'm surprised that it is. I mean, I don't know if you know, it's weird, sort of like when you talk and then all of a sudden you see an ad for what you were talking about. After that show, I had like a targeted Instagram ad or two on that very product, which I found interesting, and they claim in the ad that it's highly reviewed and people
Mhm.
love it. I don't know who's buying it though, you know.
I did
So
reach out,
people
ask
that
if they
do
would
love
come
it.
on the show to talk about it. I did not get any type of response back. So the most recent reviews that I've seen on YouTube, not very recent, and from nobody of real note, from a popularity
Yeah.
or an influential standpoint. So I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but certainly nobody I know has one, and I'm sure nobody that you know has one.
No, and I remember you reaching out, I don't know, last year or whenever it came out, and they said, "Yeah, let's talk about it," and never happened. So that doesn't make me feel good.
They did release a new grill, though, which is the Patio Legend 400. So, what do we know about that?
Yeah, they had the Patio Legend 410 that they came out last year, and this is an updated model, if you want to call it that. It's very similar to the previous one. It just has like a more robust cart with it, with like a front shelf. Um, Look, the controller looked the same though. It mostly the same. Just in the looks department, it's a little different, and some of the specs are slightly different. But it's a pretty similar grill to what they had before. They have a, I'll be honest, they have a ton of SKUs. They have a lot of grills, and it's hard to tell you like what's better than the other, or why you should get one over the other. That's not to say they're not good products. I just, in my opinion, they have a lot of SKUs.
Do grills coming out nowadays? Let me roll back here. Just it seemed like I'm going to say the old days. So, like, let's say early 2000s and before that, a lot of grills didn't come with the whole enclosed cabinetry storage space.
Yeah.
It was a lot of open legs and maybe a little basket for you to throw some shit underneath there to hold. And now it seems almost table stakes that anything coming out from any grill manufacturer, there's got to be doors, it's got to be enclosed, there's got to be additional storage. Is that kind of the way things are going?
Yeah, this one doesn't have like a full cabinet, but it does seem like, especially with smokers with like pellet grills, it used to always be that, barrel shape, so it looked like a classic like offset. And now everything's seems like they want to be more and more like a traditional gas grill, cabinet and everything. I don't know if that's the right move or not, but maybe they want people to think more of them as all-purpose grills. Uh yeah, I don't know. I never use my grill cabinets, if I'm being honest. I don't know if you do, but they just stay shut. So,
The only thing that it holds is a propane bottle. And if I can
yep.
figure out a way to get it outside, I'll stick it outside as well. For me, it's out of sight, out of mind. So I might stick something very important down there. And if the door's closed, I don't even ever think about to go in there and get it.
Yeah, same. An interesting thing about RecTech too is, we talked before about companies moving away from direct to consumer sales. They're another brand where they started all direct to consumer. We're all
Yep.
about it. Then they started a partnership with Ace. You can find them in a lot more Ace locations, and you can even find them in grill stores now too, like local grill stores. And they even some like Shields and places like that. They're keep expanding their distribution and moving away from that model.
I've never owned one, but I feel like the smoker side of it is a pretty robust number of units, depending on whatever model you're getting. I've always heard, or the refrain continues to be, almost like they're overbuilt, kind of like a Broil King product.
Yeah, I think they make quality products. People that have them love them. I've used one before. One thing about them is they usually get a lot hotter than a lot of other pellet grills. Like that one model we were just talking about, that gets to like 700 degrees, which is, almost unheard of within pellet grills unless it's like purpose built as a grill. But, that's something about it. And it's not like 304 stainless, but they use stainless steel in a lot of their construction, a lot of stainless components, and that's why people love them.
All right, let's move to Solo Stove. Is there a more tragic story, or should I say, is there a bigger joke in the live fire industry than Solo at this point? By the way, as of 3 p.m. today, their stock was 20 cents. 20 cents.
They've got a lot of problems. They're 20 cents.
20 cents.
You know,
it was down 16% to 20 cents.
Yeah, I mean, a one penny swing of 20 cents, that's a big percentage too, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy what's happened to them. And they're still, the largest smokeless fire pit brand out there. But they just I think what happened, and I'll probably write something about this, but they rode that wave, that D2C like startup wave through the pandemic, and I think, like a lot of companies, they thought it would just keep on climbing, right? And so then they started doing crazy marketing, like a lot of the startups, outside of the live fire industry do, like their partnership with Snoop Dogg and all that like really mainstream stuff that, to me, just based on numbers I see in my website, is kind of useless and really expensive. So they canned their CEO, got a new CEO. It didn't get better from there. They kept blowing through money in marketing. And the same thing, they redid an ad with Snoop Dogg and claimed that the OLED wasn't a problem, even though it was, and threw out some bogus numbers that didn't make any sense. Then the new CEO left within a year. And now, they're just getting hammered. Then they released earnings and gave guidance that we just took on a bunch of debt. We don't think we'll make our covenants, which is like your ratios that measure that you can repay them. And we need to refinance all our loans. Otherwise we might not make it and we could go bankrupt. Like that's all very on the table in the next like 6 months,
So if you're a Solo fan, you want to buy up all the stuff that you can get because they might not be making anything else.
It's very possible. They haven't released anything new hardly in like a year, which was part of the problem. They kept releasing new products and people were buying it. And then also there's so many Solo Stove like products, and they didn't differentiate themselves as a brand like Traeger's famous for, that they created a brand and you want to be in the Traeger hood and all that. I don't think Solo Stove has that same vibe to them, and so they haven't been able to maintain what they're doing.
I feel like if we pool $58.37 together in clean money, we could probably buy Solo Stove, you and me.
I think that's a good option. And I do think they're a takeover target. If you want to go big, you're a company, you don't have a big presence and out in fire pits, just buy them, and for cents on the dollar, because they're going to go bankrupt, possibly, allegedly.
All right, we're going to make a prediction right here. I'm speaking for Wes. Traeger is going to buy Solo and rebrand the smokeless fire pit, so you can have smokeless fire pit in the Traeger hood. It seems like an easy buy for them.
Yeah, it does. I don't see them doing
or anybody
it because
in the live fire space for that instance.
Yeah, I think they're. My prediction, by the end of the year, they'll either be out of business or bought by somebody else.
Yeah. What about W.C. Bradley? They buy weird stuff. They bought Spark. Solo could probably be theirs for a song.
Yeah, they just have to see how much it overlaps with their Tiki brand, because they own that too.
Oh, right.
And they have a smokeless. So I don't know if it might be worth it to move into the space and combine it. They'd have to look at that, especially for how cheap it is. But yeah, I think somebody buys it. I mean, they make good products. I like Solo Stove products. So there's a reason why someone would want to buy the company.
So we laugh at 20 cents a share for Solo. By the way, and we reference them as a potential buyer here, Traeger stock is $1.69 as of 3 p.m. today. How much longer can that sustain without some type of delisting?
As long as they stay above $1, they're good. I mean, they could make the decision to go private if they wanted. But I think if you're under $1 for 6 months, there's like some rules that you have to do stay listed, which I don't know that Solstice will do. But Traeger, I think, you know, I think the worst is behind us in the grilling industry sales. Well, I don't know with all this tariff stuff, we'll see. But I think in the near future, things will start turning around for them.
Do you think the smokeless fire pit sector is now saturated, or do you think we'll still see Me Too products coming in?
I think we'll still see companies keep releasing them because it's an easy thing to get into. There's so many of them, and Solo Stove proved they couldn't defend their IP when they originally tried and they didn't defend it enough. So then the floodgates opened and everybody started releasing them.
Going back to Traeger for a second, and unrelated to the ultra low stock price, do they have a new cooker on the way?
I would say so. On the last time on your show, I mentioned they had a trademark for, it's called like Wasatch or Wasatch. I can't say it. Wasatch. It's a mountain range in Utah, and it's for a griddle. So I'm curious. What do you think? What kind of griddle product do you think is next for Traeger?
Smaller?
You think smaller, or do you think bigger? Say with
30
burner now.
36, but it's a 36-inch griddle top, right?
I thought it was like a 30, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think so. My thought on, normally in this industry, I would not even challenge your thought on bigger. It's always bigger. Buy bigger, buy bigger.
Yeah.
You talk about griddles, like 36-inch griddle, it's fucking heavy. So
yeah,
are you going to go to 48, or are you going to blow it out? Like, how much is that actually going to weigh? And do you need 8 people to put the griddle top on? And how easy is it going to be to move around? So I think griddling is still hot, but I think the trend that we're maybe missing is we're going to see smaller griddles coming out, portability to take to multiple places.
Yeah, I was, that's a good bet. I'd be curious if people start coming out with 42-inch griddles too. 36 has been like the go-to.
Yeah.
And someone just released it at 42. I can't think of who did, but we'll see. We'll see what the market bears there.
Blackstone, we've talked about them over the last couple months in conjunction with Weber to see when that deal might be closing. I haven't heard anything, and I reached out to Roger Daly to book him on the show, and he has had to continually pass because it has not come to official close yet, so getting through the FTC stuff. They have released something called the Bronco Combo Cooker. So is there any potential naming issues? Because didn't Oklahoma Joe have a Bronco, and now Blackstone has a Bronco? Is that a potential lawsuit at all?
I'm not sure. I think it depends on what they have, who has a trademark for it, if they do, and if there's any customer confusion based on what the trademark's for, like, is it for all cookers or is it for drum smokers, or, and it's kind of a generic name. So I don't know. I don't know on the IP front if that's any issue.
Do you like the cooker itself though?
Yeah, I think it's neat. I don't know how much I would use it, but I like how they always try to kind of innovate with that combo style cookers. On one side you've got a griddle, on the other side you have a vertical pellet smoker. It's two very different styles of cooking, so you get a lot of versatility from that.
Had you ever used a Pit Boss vertical smoker before, like a box smoker?
I haven't. No, I haven't used a Pit Boss.
I thought you had one
smoker.
of those. They didn't send you one?
I've got a Pit Boss has never sent me a grill, I don't think.
Oh.
I had a Pit Boss pellet grill, and I had a Pit Boss griddle that I've used, but I have never used one of their vertical ones.
All right, so maybe it's the guy that I work with was telling me, might have been a year or two ago, and they came out with a really big cabinet style pellet cooker. He raves about it. I mean, he's a pretty accomplished backyard barbecue guy, can appreciate what's good and what's crap. And he just goes on and on about it. So I've always been fascinated with cabinet cookers, even like the charcoal high-end ones like Spice Wine and then Superior, Southern Smoker, blah, blah, blah. Who's the main guy? This Stumps Smokers was a huge name back in the day. I think he still makes those. But that's a smaller griddle, right? That's not a 36-inch griddle. You got
it is smaller.
You got your cabinet-style smoker, and then you have a little bit of a narrower griddle. So maybe going into that wave of what I think might be seeing here in 2025 in griddles.
Yeah, especially with a combo grill too, you can only have so much real estate. Otherwise, you have like an extremely wide, cooker in general too. So, they're kind of capped there.
What are we working on over the next 30 days we should be keeping an eye on?
Let's see. Well, I'll be at the HPB Expo next week, so we'll see how that is. And
how many days?
2 days. I'll be there 2 days.
All right.
Yeah. So I feel like that's a good amount. There's also Blackstone. I like to give you some rumors. They have a trademark. Maybe you can speculate what this will be used for. 2 different names, and it's for some type of device that allows you to use multiple cookers with one propane tank. Your facial reaction was what I thought when I read it. It's 2 different names for it. So I don't know what they're working on.
What are the names? The octopus?
I can't remember them right now, unfortunately, but there's, like chain something, was one of the names, so you're like, but I can't think of, I guess maybe some combo style cooker, but they do that anyways. I don't know what you would use it for.
I'm fascinated now. I'll have to give it some thought. We can circle back up in 30 days. By the way, I don't know if you're familiar with this guy. Memphis Barbecue Supply. His name's Jimmy Shotwell. He's going to be at the HPBA Expo, so he'll see you there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's still
awesome.
You will notice him because he wears this big chain because he had a podcast for 5 minutes and 38 seconds, and that was the year that I entered the Awards of Excellence, and that podcast won Podcast of the Year. Believe it or not. Yeah. So he wears a chain around. And I think he's got a tattoo as well. It said, best podcast, MBBQA 2018. Look for that guy.
Keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a quick one for you, Greg.
All right.
What do the Cavs do this year? What's your prediction?
Oh, this is a tough one. I mean, what can I say? I'm a Cleveland guy. I think it's us and the Celtics. I don't think anybody else can really touch us. I think we win in 6. It's not even going to go 7.
Wow.
Yeah. Celtics are very tough. Kristaps Porzingis is, I think, going to be out for the rest of the year. Yeah, he's he's out.
Oh, is he?
So, yeah, he's hurt. Oh. He's been out, so I don't think he's coming back. He's a paper tiger. And I think this is just our year. We had a great trade with Hunter coming up from Atlanta. He's going to be a key piece. We're so deep. We got 2 or 3, not necessarily elite level at every position, but we could have 2 elite levels at every position. And then the backups to those elites are very good. They could be, that 5th starter that's the role player guy or the gel or the glue guy. So I can see the Cavs coming out. Now, as far as who's going to come out of the West, I have no idea. There's so much parity in the West. But we have handled every team in the West pretty much with ease. So I don't know what the score of the game tonight is, or maybe they don't even play until 10 because they're playing the Clippers. But we have steamrolled through the West. I mean, hell, until the other night, we had won another 15 in a row. So while this is not a sports show, I am here to tell you that the Cavs are for real. And I don't know if none of the
championship.
Oh, absolutely realistic potential. But the national media does not want to give us any love.
No.
They don't want to talk about us. They want to shit on us. It's LeBron. It's every other team.
Warriors and Lakers.
Yes, Warriors and Lakers. I mean, those teams are 950 years old combined age. So I really like the Cavs' opportunity to not only get to the finals, but win another championship, which hasn't been done since 2016, since LeBron. What I would love is the situation that Stephen A. Smith brought up the other day, and I don't know if you talked about it, where the Lakers would catch fire somehow and come out of the West, and go against Cleveland. And then Cleveland
that'd be a
beats
good
the
story.
Lakers. So the winning of a championship against LeBron, the guy that helped them win the first one. So I don't know. What do you think about the Cavs?
No, I think they're legit. They play good team ball. So they have a real shot.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, look for Jimmy Shotwell next week in the 2 days that you're down there. Tell him I said hi. And enjoy the other portion of vacation that you have set up later in that week.
Yeah.
And then we'll circle back next month and talk about HPB.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
All right, Wes Wright headed down to the Big Easy next week, and he's going to be checking out. I gotta stop that. Did I stop it? Oh, I did stop it. Very good. All right. Almost missed the automated clock timer. So he's headed down to the Big Easy. He's going to check and see what anything new might be released, unveiled, and or otherwise mentioned at HPB Expo. Too far for me to go, and don't want to go. Follow Wes, cookoutnews.com. All social media, and hit his website. Subscribe to the website, too. All great content, especially if you're into business like me. You're going to love all the reads. All right, we're back to wrap the first hour. Right after this, stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey, what's up? This is JM, host of the Celebrity Grill podcast on iTunes, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Network. All barbecue and grilling, all the time.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
And we thank Wes Wright for joining us last segment. Cookoutnews.com is website, also on social media as well. For all your latest updates, Wes always digging in to the top names in the industry. Give you some late-breaking news, writing opinion pieces as well. I do like cabinet-style smokers. I'm a big fan. I've always been a big fan. I've never owned one. So how big of a fan could I be? I know. Hypocrite. But still a fan. Love the look. Love the aesthetic. All right, we are a little bit late, so let's play clock catch-up before we get into the second hour guests. You are listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here in the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how you doing?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
So listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are in the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about only the most important items of the barbecue and grilling world. The Barbecue Central Show is coming to you live and direct from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on the show this evening in about 11 minutes' time, Melissa Cookston. And we'll be closing the show with the first full-time barbecue editor ever on the face of the earth, Daniel Vaughn over at Texas Monthly. We say good evening to those of you watching this show tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also go to Twitter.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody. And the question is this: Is Magic Kingdom the worst Disney park to go to when you're an adult? And currently 64% of you are saying yes, that is the worst Disney park to go to when you're an adult. 36% of you are saying no, that is not the case. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less. This coming Friday, episode 375, taking you back to March 3rd, 2015. Being featured is a guy and team that blazed the trails for many a barbecue competitor over the past, let's say, 20 plus years. Winner of many of the most important barbecue events ever to be held. TV competition star, innovator, and the seller of barbecue rubs and sauces before a lot of folks actually got into it. His name is Mike Davis from Laudable Barbecue. In 2015, the Sam's Club Barbecue Series was still a thing. We talked about that during this segment. We also talked about KCBS judging and his turn-ins, many other topics as well. Mike has since gotten out of competition game. I don't know if it's like all out or if he just does a select few competitions, but definitely not anywhere near the amount of competitions when he was doing them. But Laudable is truly an important team in the history of competition barbecue, especially when it comes to the KCBS and the barbecue world in general. So if you're not familiar with Mike Davis, this is a great introduction to him. And you also get to see what a great guy that he is. So stay tuned for the Best Moment show coming up this coming Friday, episode 375. But wait, there's more, because since I was off last week and I did not post or mention last week's Best Moment show, which was episode 374, featuring our very own Texas embedded correspondent, Doug Scheiding. I posted that one yesterday morning, so if you go into the Barbecue Central Show's podcast feed and you happen to see back-to-back Best Moments shows, that is not a duplicate. That is not a mistake. That's exactly what I meant to have happen. Actually, what I meant to have happen was posting the Best of show last Friday, but got away from me, and then got back into town, made Wright, and away you go. So you have a couple to catch up on if you didn't catch up on them the last 2 weeks, and then there is a new one, 375, coming this coming Friday. You can subscribe to the show by visiting the bbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. And as always, if you want to hear a past guest or segment that you feel has been lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you would like to hear. John is spelled Jon. John at thebbqcentralshow.com. And now we have a hot take alert. I go back to the topic from hour number 1 in the show open in regards to vacations. And I'm going to give you all a bit of advice that will make you seem a bit more courteous to the people around you, especially if you are attending vacation in an area that has a lot of sun. Because what does a lot of sun mean? Well, tanning, but if you are trying to take care of your skin, there's going to be a lot of sunscreen involved. So, what's very popular these days is sunscreen and a pressurized can. Certainly, you still have the normal stuff coming out of the tube or the pump or whatever, but widely you see the can under pressure. It comes in various SPF measurements, whatever. So I'm going to assume, because Americans inherently are lazy, you have the can of sunscreen. That's what you're getting, most of you. So be courteous. Before you apply, do a quick measure of where the wind is actually blowing from. And then find a spot in the area that is downwind, away from all humans, and apply your suntan lotion or sunscreen in that area. So as you're applying it, it's not blowing towards the general public or directly onto the general public. It's blowing away. Be courteous in that. Don't be one of those bags that just stands up at your chair and applies that pressure-driven sunscreen onto your body without any care or not even knowing where it's blowing off. Because I can tell you where it's blowing off. It's blowing off on everybody around you. There's nothing more douchebaggery than that. By the way, and I know it's convenient to have sunscreen in these pressure-driven bottles, but everybody should be using the tube or the pump. Takes 1 second to look at the amount of cast-off sunscreen that is just going everywhere in the air and not on your human body. You won't ever buy that again if you actually take a moment to look at it and see how much is just being wasted, blasted all around you. No matter how convenient it is, you are literally throwing dollars into the air if you are using that kind of sunscreen. Someday, I hope to get to a financially secure position where I can just apply pressure-driven sunscreen, not even care. I will always walk away. I will always be the courteous person. Just like if I'm having a cigar, I will always go downwind so as not to offend, because I am a professional human caring about the people around me. But most people don't. It's under pressure. They're just blowing it all over the place. You can tell, like, you quickly look around, everybody else. Nobody cares. Because in 5 minutes, they're going to be doing it to you, right? So there you go. Go downwind. Maybe you'll start a trend in the pool area where you're tanning. Courteous trend at that. All right, Melissa Cookston is in the green room. Get to her here in just one moment. Did you know that Big Papa Smokers is celebrating their 15th anniversary? Yes. With the ultimate barbecue essentials, from award-winning rubs, sauces, to premium grills, smokers. Big Papa Smokers has everything the barbecue lover in your life needs. Discover pitmaster favorites like Sweet Money, Double Secret, Cash Cow, Competition Brisket, and steak rubs, all delicious. I should know. I've tried them all. I love them all. I just used Happy Ending rub on my pulled chicken tonight for dinner. It's delicious. Great on that pulled pork. Oh, come on. For a limited time, use promo code REMPE15, all one word, REMPE15 at checkout and get 15% off your purchase. Some exclusions apply. Visit BigPapaSmokers.com for all the details. Big Papa Smokers, where your food just got better. And remember, REMPE15 at checkout to get 15% off your next purchase. Let's catch up with Melissa Cookston next. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. My next guest is known as the winningest woman in barbecue. You've seen her on TV shows, owns restaurants, barbecue supply stores, authored books. Did I mention Barbecue Hall of Famer? Yes, of course. It's Melissa Cookston. There she is. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fabulous. Great to have you back on the show. We have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is this. Is Magic Kingdom the worst Disney park to go to when you are an adult?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. 64% of the YouTube voting public agreeing with you and me. I was there just as early as last week and can confirm not that great anymore. Number of different things to talk about here tonight. So let's start with perhaps one of the main ones. The second year of Smoke Slam, or I'll call it Smoke Slam 2025. So as someone who participated in the first go-around last year, you see how it's setting up here in 2025. Thoughts on first year, number one, and then what do you think we can expect from not only a competitor standpoint, but from a spectator standpoint?
You know, I think the best thing about Smoke Slam is, you know, it's on the mighty banks of the Mississippi. I mean, there's nothing like rolling smoke by that old river. But Smoke Slam is doing a great job of getting the public involved. So, there's the live fire, which the food there is phenomenal, and they do a lot of demos in that area. So, backyard barbecuers can pick up a lot of tips and tricks and recipes. They have almost like a carnival type atmosphere with live music and all kinds of things for kids to do. So it's really embracing the public who loves barbecue, but may not know a team and can get into a tent in order to eat. So it's a lot of fun.
How do you feel the quality of barbecue team is there? If we're going to compare, I mean, obviously there's another event that's going on the same weekend that you won many times, of course. How do you feel the quality of team is there versus Memphis in May?
I really didn't get the opportunity to visit with many teams because we have a WJBL contest there, which is teams cooking. So I am, totally immersed in getting my teams loaded in, and they're teenagers. So we need to make sure they have everything they can. And then with the live fire event. So, from what I saw, the people that were there at the awards, they're getting the winners. So, who can complain about that? And the purse really is, what people come for.
I'm surprised we don't see a Yazoo's Delta Q resurface to try and win all that money. I mean, that's a big purse. You've won some big purses, by the way.
I have, but I'll tell you that I had just retired the year before, and then Smoke Slam came out with that $250,000 purse, and I was thinking, oh, do I have one more in me? But I chose to help the kids cook.
Was the $50,000 that Kingsford Invitational the biggest take you ever had, or did you have bigger wins?
It's been so long, Greg, and I'm so old and my memory's so bad. When I won Memphis in May, I'm going to think that, I got screwed out of a $100,000 purse. So, yeah, I'm going to think that the Kingsford was probably the 50. Yeah, I'm thinking that was the biggest one-time purse.
I thought at that stage, because competition barbecue was very popular back then on TV all over the place, and I thought it was just going to keep trending up. I thought we was going to see more like winner take all purses. I thought that was a great idea, but then a lot of people explained to me how that would disenchant a lot of teams. If you're not going to pay down, then people are not going to be as motivated to keep showing up.
Yeah, I don't know. I try to stay out of all the politics of competition barbecue. I just keep my head down and do my thing,
So let's talk about the World Junior Barbecue League World Championships. And for the folks that are just tuning in for the first time tonight, maybe they're not aware of it, or they've heard this is something that's going to be taking place in Smoke Slam. This is kind of your baby here. So give us a little genesis of how this whole thing even got started.
I was asked to come to Texas to judge the state championship for Texas for high schoolers. And it was being filmed by Food Network at the time. And I didn't want to go. I don't even really like kids. It's just not my bag. But once I got there, I realized that there is no place that I would rather be. These kids were so immersed in barbecue, and they were building their own rigs, and they really had a philosophy on barbecuing. And I realized the core values that they were learning in competition barbecue. And so on my way back to the airport, I called my publicist, my husband, anybody I could get on the phone. I said, look, guys, I want to do this. I want to make sure that this is everywhere, not just in the state of Texas. So that's what motivated me to start the foundation. And since we've gone internationally, so I'm excited about that.
How many events are going on at any given time?
Well, we have some smaller events. I'll be in the Caymans the first week of April for an event there, and they always send one or two teams to the championship in October. But Guatemala has a competition. We're working on right now Barbados, Turks and Caicos, some in Europe. The two biggest competitions are Smoke Slam, which is a $25,000 purse, and then the World Championship in October, which is also a $25,000 purse.
When you're going international, are they turning in what we would consider to be Southern style barbecue, or are they staying, more local with their flavors?
The thing that intrigues me is that I've tried in my travels, I've found that everybody has some history of cooking with fire. So we really want to stay true to their roots, and how they cook. So our judges are trained specifically to look at, with an open mind, these turn-ins of, they don't cook barbecue the same in Europe as they do in Guatemala or the Caymans or here. So, but I will tell you, we have had some fierce competition, and the judges always say, this is some of the best barbecue I've ever judged. And I think it's because it's not in that one specific flavor profile that I think competition barbecue has kind of narrowed down as to what's acceptable. And I don't think that's fair. So that's not how we judge.
Creativity is rewarded, in other words.
Exactly.
Anything else about World Junior Barbecue League that we should be knowing about or we should be following?
If there's anybody out there that knows any teenager that wants to cook, we do barbecue boot camps, is what we call them, where we immerse them into competition barbecue. All the information's on the website, whether you want to host a contest or you know somebody that wants to enter a contest. So it's worldjrbbqleague.com.
All right, so check that out if you know somebody that might be interested in that, or maybe you're looking to put on a contest. That would be certainly great. It is what I would call cookbook season. Is there anything that is either coming out this year or anything you might be working on from a book standpoint?
Actually, mine is scheduled to be released in spring of 2026.
So are you done with it, or are you still working on it?
It's a labor of love, hate type relationship.
Labor of labor?
It's a labor of labor, yeah. I'm bringing in some new twists to cooking with fire. So, it's hard to find. I'm in a small area. Yes, we're a suburb of Memphis, but it's hard to find some ingredients. So, even though I'm writing the cookbook now, I can't get some things because it's not that season. So I test all my recipes as you we talked about before. So yeah, it's a labor of labor.
So this is going to be book number 3. Is there anything therapeutic or cathartic about writing a book?
No.
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 So when you wrote, me, when you wrote Smoking in the Boys Room,
yeah,
was that a multiple book deal? Like, are you satisfying a contract, or has everything been kind of a one-off?
I mean, you have deals with your publisher where they have the right of first refusal. I'm sticking with the same publisher. I had a 3-book deal.
Yeah. So
I wrote the first 2 kind of close together. And you know how it is being in the restaurant business, especially after that pandemic we had. I don't know if you heard about that, but that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Pretty rough on the restaurant industry. So, it's taken us several years to really get our feet on solid ground again.
What was the most important thing that you were able to take away from the pandemic, aside from all the pivoting and learning on the fly? Like, what did you take with you that was like, you know what, out of all the bad, this is something actually pretty good that we took away?
I think we were all just so thankful. We tried to keep all of our employees. I felt like it was my responsibility to my employees, to keep them working. So I don't have a drive-through at my restaurant, but I created one with pop-up tents. And, while they were on one side of the building, we'd take their order and we gave them drink refills. We were getting trash out of their cars. We were washing their windshields, to keep my servers making tips. So we learned that we're pretty strong. We're a resilient bunch.
How many years has Memphis Barbecue been open now?
This is the 14th year.
Are you surprised at 14 years? I mean, holding the pandemic aside, I'm sure everybody's surprised you get out of that. But, 14 years is a long time for a restaurant these days.
I've been in the restaurant business. This is 44 years for me.
Yeah.
That's 187 restaurant years old. That's why I look the way I do. I couldn't even pass for 69 these days. But, it's you have to be passionate to be in the restaurant industry. And I think with barbecue even more, because barbecue, you're cooking 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And in most restaurants, you close at some point.
Anything on the TV or entertainment front that we could be looking forward to, or anything you're allowed to talk about? Or is there anything?
I can't really say much about that. I would love to spill the tea, but NDAs and such. They'd probably get my dogs if I spilled the tea. So
no legal issues here. Certainly understand that. The last thing I wanted to talk about, and so this would have been a couple of years ago, I think when it had first gotten going, was the Barbecue All-Stars, or your barbecue retail space. We were talking about how you were bringing stuff in and, why you do it. Well, here you are, 2025, still operating that side of the business. How do you feel that portion of business or that revenue stream for the Cookston Empire is going?
I opened that store primarily so you could feel it, touch it, smell it, realize it, instead of buying things online. I mean, how many times do you buy things online, you get it, and you're like, oh, well, this looked bigger on the computer screen. This is not what I thought it would be. But our online sales are doing so much better than the people coming in and touching it and feeling it and smelling it. We do fine. But, I'd love for people, where can you go sample a ton of rubs and sauces and, see what stuff's gonna taste like? Not a lot. I mean, you can't do that through the computer. I'm assuming that, one day we'll be able to do that, but not today. So, the retail space is this is my first foray into retail. So it's all been a big learning curve, but it's my fun job.
What are the most popular things selling in the store? Is it just the little stuff like rub sauce, or are they bigger like grill items?
Accessories are the hot ticket, and we have got so many gadgets and gizmos that, who knew they needed bear butts, right? Where you take the little smoky sausages and wrap some croissant rolls around it and make bear butts. I didn't know I needed one of those, but apparently I did. There's just, and we've got cute snarky socks. I mean, you know me, so I've got the snarky stuff going, kitchen towels, that, I didn't say you were old, but if you were milk, I'd smell you first kind of stuff. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun.
If somebody wants to get in or pitch to a Melissa Cookston to get their stuff in, like, how easy is that?
It's not easy.
Like, can I find a way? Is there an email, or do I got to cold call you on the phone?
Don't you give my number out?
Not me.
Info at thebarbecueallstars.com is probably the best way to get in touch with me. I have so many rubs and sauces dropped off, and there's just no way I can carry everybody's. And I feel so bad about that, because I was that girl, at one point too. So I feel so bad, but the reality is it doesn't matter if I like it. What matters is, are people going to buy it?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what we have to take into consideration, or we can't stay open if I just carry 7 million sauces and rubs and can't sell any of them.
How can you figure out what's going to sell? Or do you just try stuff and the stuff that moves gets a reorder and the stuff that doesn't gets moved off the shelf?
Yeah, that's kind of been the go-to. They're the big ones that sell really well in this market. And they're always going to sell well in this market. So we make sure we carry those. And the ones that don't move, we discount them and move them out and try something new.
Yeah. This is Melissa Cookston, and you can find her on social media. You can buy her books. You can see her on TV shows of the past. And every once in a while, you see her right here on this show. By the way, there was a definitive point in time where Melissa would come on the show on a Tuesday and then turn around and win the Memphis in May World Championship Barbecue Cook-Offs, by the way.
No, I only came on the show to get good luck from Greg, and it just so happened.
Right. So, I mean, whatever that was quite a time. Look, Melissa, I can't tell you, since like 2010, we've been doing these conversations on and off. And you've always been very good to the show, and I appreciate the fact that you come on. You lend a lot of legitimacy to the show when you come on. And whenever you need anything from me, you can just reach out, and appreciate you coming on again tonight.
That is acknowledgement that I can just cold call you.
Absolutely, please. Have a great night.
Thank you.
You got
it.
Too. Melissa Cookston right there. Oh, man, when she was out there competing, winning a lot, of course. Teams of the years and world championships and hog categories, to the point where she was raising her own hogs and cooking them. I don't even know if anybody's doing. Maybe Tim Shear is doing that. Certainly nobody else. All right, that was Melissa Cookston. We have Daniel Vaughn ready to go. All right, yeah, we'll do it. Hey, before we get to Daniel, Green Mountain Grills has brought the smoke to the competition scene and the backyards all over the world. Their Venturi-style firebox delivers the cleanest 150-degree smoke in the pellet game. No competition. Their redesigned 2025 Prime 2.0 grills blend the proven technology of the past with the technology of the future. Green Mountain Grill is the original innovator in all things Wi-Fi, continuing to give the user granular options to control your grill in any environment from anywhere. Green Mountain Grill also leads the pack in accessory creation, from their pizza attachment that delivers pizza in 2 minutes to the rotisseries to an add-on side burner. How about that? All electric. Check out the new 2.0 GMG at greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. We're back with Daniel Vaughn right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Melissa Cookston for joining us the last segment. This portion of the show brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. The color series is winning on my palette. Black, blue, red. There's 2 new colors at least being introduced here in 2025, so stay tuned for that. McAuliffe Cigars, MICALLEF, McAuliffeCigars.com, and use the locator to find a retailer nearest you. Helping me close the show tonight and doing his first segment of 2025 and what will be quarterly appearances is the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly's magazine, our pal Daniel Vaughn. DV, what's up?
Oh, good to be with you.
Are you in a different spot? You look in a
I
different
am in a
spot?
different spot. Yes.
You on location?
Not on location. I created a little nook here for my home office, and have a new background, and all
Wow.
that good stuff, and
Getting
a
into
Browns helmet, or Browns helmet there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
We need to replace
Yeah.
that with like a Donovan Mitchell bobblehead or something. Get a winner on that shelf.
It's signed by Bernie Kosar, so it's staying.
Yes. The last good quarterback we have ever had, Bernie Kosar, for those that have no idea what we're talking about. We have a YouTube poll question of the week, Daniel, that I'll ask you before we get into some of the other stuff. Is Magic Kingdom the worst Disney park to go to when you're an adult?
Yeah, let's say yes.
Yes, 100%. I can say through recent experience, as recently as last week, that between Epcot and I know Universal isn't a Disney-themed park. I don't do any of that animal bullshit. We didn't go to Hollywood Studios, but we did go to Magic Kingdom as a bunch of adults, and we're ready to blow our heads off about 4 hours into it, and then felt mega obligated to stay for at least another 5 hours because it's not a cheap date to get in there.
That's
So,
right. You already paid the big money to get in, so
that's right.
you got to take advantage.
Don't fall. You ever had the turkey legs there?
I think turkey legs in general are just super disappointing. I mean, kind of like wherever you get them. They have to be so incredibly tender. I mean, almost everybody gets them from the same place, right? They get them from, Farm Pack in Yoakum, Texas. I mean, they get them from the same place, and they do so little to them, but just heat them up because they're already cured and smoked, fully cooked by the time they get them. You really need to smoke it till it gets super tender, because that's really the only way to pick that thing off the bone and all the tendons and everything else. And those, you get those first few like really pleasurable bites of a turkey leg, and then the rest of it you're just sitting there like, what do I do with this thing?
I'm not a turkey leg guy. I don't remember the last time I ate one. Always pass and never look back with not even a second of regret. Let me circle back to the Michelin star conversation that we had in December, closing out your quarterly appearance. I've since learned that Texas, the state, or maybe their tourist department or whatever you want to call it, paid millions of dollars to the guide. Do you think that if Texas would not have boned out whatever sum of money that they did in the tune of millions, that those Michelin stars would have been awarded to those pitmasters and restaurants?
No. I mean, that's the model. Like for Michelin,
I didn't know that. I thought all of a sudden they were just like James Beard, including barbecue all of a sudden.
No, Michelin's not like, you know what, we've decided we're going to cover Denver, and now LA, and now Texas. No, it's these, the tourism boards pay them, and they pay them because they feel like that the money's worth it to get the eyes, certainly the media eyes, the attention on their state's cuisine, and hopefully get a bunch of visitors who come in, because you do have a lot of people who travel all over the world eating at Michelin starred restaurants. And so hopefully that boosts the tourism bucks. But the state paid half of the money for the 3-year contract, and then the 5 cities that were covered paid the other half. And so that's why all the Michelin stars and all the recognition, the Bib Gourmands and all that, came from just Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin, San Antonio, because those are the only cities that actually help pony up the money to bring Michelin.
I don't know how to say this without sounding like a dick. And we are courageous on the show, as you once coined the phrase. Knowing that, no disrespect, and I never try to pre-qualify anything because obviously I'm going to sound disrespectful. Does it cheapen the star then at some point?
No.
No?
I mean, I think whenever people, I guess when people, no disrespect, when people like you figure this out, it seems like this big surprise. But I think, and maybe it's because I'm a media member, but I think as Michelin has come into different areas of the country, I thought it was pretty well known that like you've got to pay for them to come, and there won't just be like an Ohio Michelin guide unless the state of Ohio or cities in Ohio decide that we're going to pay Michelin the money to come in, and because Michelin then is charged with. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if Michelin pays for any of the food that their tasters go eat, that those secret diners go eat. I have no idea. But yeah, Michelin is only going to put that guidebook together for your particular area if you pay them.
So,
but I think it might be a good investment for Ohio. You get Cleveland, Columbus, Cincinnati. You got big cities in there that might actually pony up some money.
When you say people like me, do you mean generally uneducated or dopey? Like, what do you mean?
No,
learned.
No, the people who say, "Oh my God, can you believe that they had to pay?" Yeah, I don't know.
It was a big revelation to a sizable percentage of my audience. I had no idea. Like, how would we know? Why would we know that? You just hear Michelin star and you think Gordon Ramsay or John Teaser.
Yeah, I don't think it cheapens it just because of the fact that like everybody's, whether they're paid to come to Texas or not, the individual tasters aren't being like paid to give out a Michelin star, right? Like they're still judged on the same level, right? On the same playing field as all the rest. So whether or not they'd be here without the Tourism Board of Texas paying, these restaurants who received a Michelin star are still receiving a Michelin star that compares to a Michelin star anywhere else in the world.
If you had to choose, Daniel Vaughn, had to choose between getting a Michelin star or a James Beard Award, which one would you choose and why?
If I was a restaurant owner, quite simply, I would choose to be in the Texas Monthly list. And I say that obviously.
I didn't even ask that question.
Oh, what was
Michelin star or James Beard Award?
Yeah. And I'm telling you that I think the better one to be on is the Texas Monthly list because I write for Texas Monthly, but also because, and here's why: because the James Beard Award is one chef is going to get that recognition from the James Beard Award. One chef in the state every year, and so there's not a whole lot of love to go around. For Michelin, it comes out every year. So as soon as you receive your Michelin star as a chef and a restaurant owner, you are now immediately defending it. Those tasters could be there next week to see if you're going to get your Michelin star back the following year. And so there's a lot of pressure that's put on. And if you get in the top 10 of the Texas Monthly list, like you get to breathe, you get to enjoy it for 4 years. We're not going to come check on you for another at least 3.5 years. So you get to just enjoy that and revel in it.
I think I dislike the fact that you are so Texas. Like, not everybody lives in Texas. Like, there's a whole bunch of other states that have Michelin stars and James Beard Award. So the question is, which one do you want? And then you discount both options to then immediately pile on to Texas Month. I don't understand. So
yeah.
Are we in the top 50 list process here in 2025? Then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Full swing?
Well, full swing as far as the writing goes. The search itself has concluded. So we spent about 6 months. That really ended after the first weekend in March. That concluded. And then it was time to start writing all the different write-ups, the different articles that are going to go in that issue, which will be in our June issue. And so that the first part of the pressure is off, and then the next part is we're in the midst of it right now. So I've still got quite a bit of writing left to do.
Would you say you've gotten more than 50 or less than 50? Let's grease the wheels. Kind of a phone call, email, text message.
I've gotten 0. I think at this point, I think at this point, most of the barbecue joint owners in Texas understand how it works. And we've got they all know when it's happening. I mean, we announced the fact that we have gotten together as a Texas Monthly staff and we're commencing the search. That's really started around September 1st of last year.
Yeah.
And like I said, ended that first weekend in March here. And so, they all know when it's happening. I think they all understand that, trying to sort of state their case or whatever is probably doing that in any other way than serving incredible barbecue is probably more of a detriment than it is a help. So yeah, no, I haven't, I certainly get whether it's a joke or a nervous comment or whatever at a restaurant. I certainly get the question. I mean, when I was in line at Goldie's Barbecue, PJ, one of the guys who works the line there, just said, so what are the chances that we go number one back to back? And I was like, I don't know. Just look at all the other places that have done it.
Yes, all of them. Wow, it's the list is long and distinguished.
There's none.
If they're right, so like if an envelope showed stuffed like 50 G's and it was like so and so barbecue restaurant for top 10, would you name them immediately? Would you call them out, or would you just send it back and be like, hey, I can't do that?
Oh man, that's a tough one. 50 grand. I could really use 50 grand.
I feel like you would post it and be like, hey, this guy tried to screw me.
And if I don't name them number one, what are they going to do? Tell everybody that they sent me 50,000 to do it?
Yeah, I think they would.
Then they'd really look like idiots, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but I mean, people that seem to have no temperature for being an idiot anymore. I mean, they will do anything.
This is true. Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I guess the Supreme Court did say that corruption is legal. So
yeah, they will spin it to be like, hey, I paid that guy off, and he still didn't put me number one. That guy's a crook. Arrest that guy. All right, so the list is coming out in June. Like, is there a specific drop date, as the kids say?
There is. It'll be in our June issue, but it'll come out a little earlier. So it'll be released the day after Memorial Day. So that's May 27th.
So will you have been on? That's right around, let me look at my quick calendar. April, May, June. And then I got oh, no. Oh,
I mean, we could schedule one that night if you want.
Hold on. Oh, for Christ's sake. Here we go.
I mean, scheduling, actually getting a schedule for May 27th.
May 27th?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So
the day after Memorial Day.
You're next on June 17th. So we'll have plenty of time to be able to go over the list and listen to all the he got it wrong again talk and great stories like that.
I got to write that down.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be out of town.
Well, yeah. I mean, for this particular call, this one that happens here in March, for the past few years, I've been out on spring break in Europe.
Yeah.
And so this time around, I landed yesterday coming back from Copenhagen. So, yeah.
Is there Texas style? Is there Texas style barbecue in Copenhagen? Oh, yeah.
And Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Yes. The Danes love smoked meat. That's for sure.
Like rated out of 10.
Oh, well,
like 10 being whatever the current number one is, 10 being Goldies.
Oh, 10 being Goldies. Well, I mean, should I talk about the place itself first? Like, give you a name?
Yeah, please. Go ahead.
All right. War Pigs Barbecue is where I went. And War Pigs, I ate there, I think, 8 years ago. And I've been told by a bunch of people, certainly anybody who knew War Pigs and learned that I had landed in Copenhagen were like, oh, he's going to War Pigs, isn't he? He's got to be going to War Pigs. It's good. You're going to love it. I was like, well, it wasn't so good 8 years ago. And they're like, it's gotten so much better. Promise you. And boy, has it not. Yeah. Yeah, it has not gotten better. That's for sure.
8 years of continued mediocrity. Below mediocrity? I think you just muted yourself. You just muted yourself. Oh, no. No. Mute button? Uh-oh. Gonna have to reconnect. Sounds like we're gonna have to reconnect. Can you hear me? Yeah? Is there a mute button on there? Hit a mute button? No. Just try and reconnect. See if that doesn't help us here. In the meantime, talking with Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly. Hopefully he reconnects in time to talk about fajitas, or what fajita trailer all the most popular barbecue grilling masters in Texas are going to. We did a story on that. But then we'll learn about isn't a War Pig an Ozzy Osbourne song? You guys in the chat that are older than me, like, you know Ozzy Osbourne. I think War Pig is Ozzy Osbourne from Copenhagen? Is there a meeting of the proverbial names there? War Pig the song and War Pig.
How about now?
Yeah, all right, we're back.
Right. Yeah.
War Pig is a Ozzy Osbourne song, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, indeed. Yeah. Yeah. This place was packed. I mean, it was hopping. I accidentally ordered 4 pitchers of beer on their online ordering system. I thought for sure it was saying that, do you want 4 glasses with that? And yeah.
4 pitchers.
4 pitchers of a hazy IPA came out for a table of 8. That was quite surprising. We made a couple of the tables very, very happy.
Yeah. You didn't drink them between, like, 1 pitcher between 2 people? Wait, were some of those your kids?
There were kids. There were some of my kids. There were some Swedish children as well. And we had about 30 minutes before our actual dinner reservation. That was just down the road. So the barbecue was a snack. It was just let's just say there's places where you go in and you see really careful barbecue plating, right? And it's beautiful and that shows lots of attention to detail. And this was everything but that. It was how quickly can we do this? My piece of overcooked brisket was literally slapped onto the tray. The pork rib, the pork rib ends were just, the pulled pork, the bark was so dry that I could pull it apart and essentially chew on it like jerky.
Wow.
It was just it was embarrassing.
Do they know you?
I mean, certainly the guy who was serving didn't have any idea who I was, and I didn't announce myself or anything. I just went in and ordered a tray of barbecue. That's the best barbecue in Copenhagen, is what they say. So,
well, don't go anywhere else if that's the best. Like, run away from everywhere else if that's the best. I mean, you couldn't have a less glowing review.
Well, so the next day, I was with the folks from Holy Smoke Barbecue in Sweden, and we were looking around their facility to see the changes they'd made at their little barbecue shack that's on the southwest side of Sweden. Unfortunately, it's not open. It wasn't open yet for the season. They wait for that warm weather. It's going to open in about a month, and then be open 7 days a week throughout the summer. But it is not open in those cold Swedish winters. Huh. But they have some mill scale smokers there, straight from Austin, Texas.
Right, so smokers are legitimate. That's got to cost a pretty penny to hike them over there. Holy moly!
Yeah, I can imagine.
By boat?
Yeah, big shipping containers, and then they have to figure out, like, what else can we put in the shipping container to help make it worth our while for the shipping. Yeah,
wood, probably wood and charcoal. Pack it full. Why not?
Yeah, frozen beef.
Is Spain enamored with Texas style barbecue?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting to see. You travel around Europe, South America, Australia. I mean, it's just crazy to see how many Texas style places show up. And then when you start talking to them about, like, why do you do barbecue? Well, I watch these Aaron Franklin videos. I got this Aaron Franklin barbecue book, and
wow,
it's like the Texas influence is everywhere.
Is he the most important Texas barbecue guy in the history of ever?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly if you look at Franklin Barbecue's opening as this turning point of popularity of Texas barbecue and just sort of consciousness of what Texas barbecue is and how it differs from other Southern barbecue, and the trajectory then of Texas barbecue's influence since then. I mean, he's the most important figure certainly that has ever come to Texas barbecue. Yeah, it's pretty amazing what has happened with Franklin Barbecue and since Franklin Barbecue opened in just 2009.
Who's Megan Francis Lloyd?
Who is Megan Francis Lloyd? Oh, who wrote the article about Spanish barbecue?
And a number of other articles, as I've come to find out.
Yes. Yeah. So she lives in Spain, and she's been, yeah. And, she came across certainly some of these barbecue restaurants, one of which I had written about long ago in the past, and she decided to do a refresher. And, we get pitches from really, like I said, all over the world. We get different pitches to write barbecue articles about Texas's influence in Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, wherever it might be.
What's the deal with the fajita trailer that all the big name pitmasters and restaurant owners are going to?
Fajitas to go. You can't eat them here. Except you can. There's a couple of picnic tables, but just about, everyone, as I ate at the picnic table, every other customer was bringing it to go. But it's this, I don't know, it's this cool window into, the valley and the barbecue in the valley of grilling over direct heat wood charcoal, doing half chickens that way, doing fajita beef, from the skirt steak, doing the costillas or tablitas, cross-cut beef, short ribs, which is one of those things that you find really all over South Texas, and one of the items that I think should be cooked a lot more on the grill. And it's just if you can find them in the store, wherever you might be in the country, but they cook up so well, they take on a marinade so well, they take on rub flavor so well, and they've got a little chew to them because they are beef ribs and you're cooking them hot and fast, but they're it's the knife has already done so much work for you because they're cut pretty thin, so it's got this like pleasant chew to it, great beefy flavor, and takes on marinade really well, like I said.
Anything coming up over the next 30 to 60 you want to talk about before I let you go tonight?
Oh man,
coming to Cleveland?
I'm not coming to Cleveland. Headed up to Chicago, doing some college visits, and probably definitely eating some barbecue at the same time.
What colleges in Chicago are we looking at?
University of Chicago and Northwestern for my daughter. So she is a sophomore in high school right now.
Oh, that's early. Wow.
She's looking at great colleges, great universities for computer science programs. So yeah, we'll be headed up there and eating well for sure. I've got I've still got a bunch of travel. I held off on a number of places that opened this year because I really wanted to have a cutoff date for the top 50 of this year. And really, if you opened in 2025, I was like, you know what, we're going to let you vie for that 25 best new barbecue joint list that'll come out in 2027.
Yeah.
And so, I've already got a lot of those places marked on my map. And so I've got some travel to the southeast side of Houston, to Austin, and really all that travel is planned around eating every barbecue joint in a Texas airport that exists.
Real.
And rating, yes. And rating their breakfast items and their lunch/dinner items to try and find the best airport barbecue.
Doesn't that require you to get security access?
Well, right. So I'm planning these trips to Houston, Austin, from DFW and Love Fields so that I can so I can eat at all of them.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, I'm anxious to hear how that goes. When do we get results on that?
Well, I've got to wait for Killen's Barbecue. Theirs will be the last one because Ronnie Killen is opening a Killen's Barbecue in Houston Hobby Airport in mid-June. And so I will have all the others finished up, and then I'll be waiting on a trip to get down to Houston Hobby in a few months.
All right, so that could be
see how Ronnie Killen translates his barbecue into translates his restaurant barbecue into airport barbecue.
Yeah, all right. Well,
tough thing to do.
That could be a Q3 recap as well. So looking forward to that. Daniel Vaughn's right here. TMBBQ.com is his website. Daniel, always appreciate the time, and we will see you again in June.
Yeah, good talking with you.
You too. Daniel Vaughn right there. He doesn't like to admit it, but originally a Buckeye. Yeah, he is. No doubt. All right. Let me talk to you quickly about David McDowell and the barbecue diet program. Oh, yes. Because guess who won the shred down contest in Orlando last week? That was me.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, it was me. Oh, yeah, Maggie. You tired of diets that make you choose between good food and what the hell?
Barbecue.
I mean, she just ruined everything. I can't even get out of this now. All right. Hold on. We'll go here. Yes. And then we're going to go here. Boom. All right, that might work. Are you tired of diets that make you choose between good food and real results? Probably. You don't have to anymore. David McDowell's cracked the code. His personalized fat loss coaching for barbecue lovers. Let you eat the foods you love, like ribs, brisket, and wings. Still lose weight. Get lean and feel amazing. This isn't some fad. It's a proven system that includes barbecue-friendly meal plans, tailored health strategies, and weekly check-ins, so you're never guessing, never alone, never forced to give up what you love. And if you want to be a part of something bigger, to surround yourself with like-minded barbecue lovers who are dropping weight, getting stronger, staying motivated, then the online barbecue diet group is where you need to be. Now, here's the deal. You can keep struggling on your own, or you can plug into a system that works. Join now, get exclusive access to expert coaching, real-world strategies, and a support crew that won't let you fail. And I'm week 6 in, I think. I'm telling you, he knows what he's doing with the food recommendations. Now, remember, I'm a guy that requires zero variety in his life when it comes to food. I can eat the same thing every day. Good news, bad news. Good news is I eat the same thing every day. Bad news, eat the same thing every day. Sam the cooking guy hates it. I love it. I don't have to even ask myself, what's for dinner? I know. And I make it good, and I eat the right amounts, weighing, of course. Now I'm lean meat. Looking good. Go to school.com/BBQ. That's SKOOL.com/BBQ right now. And take the first step, because you can have a barbecue, because you can have barbecue and your dream body too. But you have to take action. Do that. It's the barbecue diet program with our pal David McDowell. And if you have any questions you want to ask me about it, send them my way, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. I'm never going to show you pictures on this show. Don't even ask me. Not going to do that. All right, let's wrap the show. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Daniel Vaughn for joining us last segment. TMBBQ.com, his website. At BBQ Snob on the Twitter, if you'd like to follow him. Him and Meathead, a great follow. Great follow. And thank goodness he made it back from Copenhagen yesterday. depending on where you were in the country, the weather was shaky at best. So glad he made it back for the interview. Great interview as always. All right, let's go ahead and get on out all the way back in the first hour. Who did we talk to? I'll tell you who we talked to. We talked to Meathead from AmazingRibs.com, and then it was Wes Wright from CookoutNews.com. And then in the second hour, an appearance from the one and only Melissa Cookston. Closing it out, Daniel Vaughn, Texas Monthly. Next week is the 4th Tuesday of the month. Mike Lang will lead the show in the first hour. And then a political figure near and dear to my heart. The first political figure we've ever had on the show will be in studio, sitting in for the show. No names, please. And then, of course, in the second hour next week, the embedded correspondent, or said political guest, will sit in and give his opinions on 100% assurity questions. Oh my God, it's going to be great. If you thought this show was great this week, next week's going to blow your head off. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe, saying, Shout out!